Hello, and welcome to the Purpose of Beauty podcast. I'm so glad you're listening with us today. We're here in a cafe in Seoul, Korea, to discuss the purpose of beauty as it relates to ethnodoxology. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoy. 환영합니다. Welcome. I'm here with my co-host Rebecca.
Hey.
And we are interviewing today our friend Deborah Kim in Korea. Would you like to introduce yourself in Korean first and then in English?
안녕하세요. 저는 김연희 선교사입니다. 네, 저는 서울에 살고 있고요. 하지만 세계를 다니면서 아트 미션에 대해서 알리고 또 함께 실행하고 있는 선교사입니다. Hello everyone. I'm Yeonhee Deborah Kim from Seoul, Korea. I'm an ethnodoxologist and arts facilitator, and I work in the world. Nice to meet you.
All of the world.
Yeah,
I love it.
We're so excited. And just Rebecca, could you give a brief introduction too? It's our first time for you to be my co-host.
First time.
I'm so excited.
Well, I am a fellow MTW intern with Anna this summer. So we have been in Japan, started in Tokyo, moved down to Nagoya. And so I do marketing, photography, illustrating a children's book, all sorts of random different things. But wherever I can help out and kind of facilitate the art that Anna does, that's where I am.
Oh, yes. And she does the best work. I'm so excited that we get
Thanks.
to do this together. So, this is Deborah. I am so excited to talk to you because from our first conversation, almost as soon as we got to Korea, we were talking to you and you mentioned ethnodoxology. That was something that I didn't know a ton about, but I heard about. And I'd love for you to just maybe explain that and tell us more about what that is, ethnodoxology.
Thank you for asking, because whenever I say ethnodoxology, people say, ethno what? And my friends, my colleagues always get this kind of answer, ethno what? So yeah, it needs explanation. Ethnodoxology is a concept of how we use art for worship. So literally means ethno from ethne, it means people, and doxology from doxo, it means glory over praise. So ethnodoxology is a praise of people. So it means people's praise. So we need the concept of ethnodoxology is how we can help or how we can encourage people to use their own artistic expression and art forms to worship God and to share the gospel. This is the essence of the concept of ethnodoxology.
Ooh, and you're an ethnodoxologist, right?
Yes, I'm an ethnodoxologist.
So in your day-to-day or in somebody else's daily life, how does that kind of apply to the way that you live or the way that you work and relate to people?
So, let me give an example. As a missionary, my friends and I, whenever we meet some people, especially whenever we are in cross-cultural situation, and then we encourage local people to use their local artistic expressions to worship God. So when we have a songwriting workshop, we don't teach music because usually many missionaries, many people, they try to teach music scales, notes, kind of things. Especially some countries, people don't know about the music theory or music scales or notes. So when we make music, we try to teach one. But local people, whatever local is, this doesn't mean that just African or Asia. Because every local people, they have their own musical or artistic expressions. So when we have a songwriting workshop, we encourage people to use their own music style and their language, and then we just give Bible verses, and then they make lyrics from the Bible verses, and then they use their own their melody or rhythm or music style when when they're familiar with, then they can make music, create music, new music or new songs within an hour.
Wait, that's like really cool.
Yeah, I mean, so my friends and I had a songwriting workshop in Tanzania, first time they are, oh, I'm not a musician. Oh, how can I make music? How can I make a song? But whenever we have a songwriting workshop, each group, they just make new songs within an hour. And the next day, within 40 minutes, because now they're getting used to it. And then it's very effective and useful, because even we are a short-term ministry. When we leave, and after we leave, they can still, keep making music, because they know their language, they know their music, they know their music style. So it's very effective way. And then it can be their heart music. Okay, we use heart art.
Heart art.
Heart
What does
art.
that mean?
Heart art means the arts when people listen or familiar with, when they listen to or familiar with it when they grow. So especially when you're young age, teenagers over 20s, that music became either kind of heart music or heart art. So everyone has their own heart art, and then if we can use their own heart art, the worship is became deeper, and then they can share the gospel in their own way, in an artistic way, in creative way. So that's why I use local art forms. Yeah.
I think it's so important, like this whole idea of ethnodoxology and worshiping in your own heart language, heart art form, because God gave us the diversity of people and cultures. And so to kind of push, like, I don't know, a Western idea or the one singular form of worship, it's ignoring all the different flavors and colors and sounds and amazing diversity that God gave us. That I think He becomes more glorified when we use the fullness of what He's given us and give that back to Him. So I think what you're doing is so amazing and really important.
Yeah, you're right on. Because, one of my life verses is Revelation chapter 7, verse 9 through 12. So every nation, every people, every language, will stand before God. Every nation, people, language, that has, the cultural elements there. So every people, every nation, every language, they have their own culture, they have their own expressions, they have their own art forms. So that means even in the Bible shows the diversity. So we will get together before God with our own uniqueness. And that's very important, because God made that diversity. So we, as Christians, we have to try to use our diversity, our diverse artistic expressions, and then our uniqueness, because that's God-given gift.
In this side of heaven, like in this fallen, broken world, do you ever find challenges or difficulties with getting people to kind of embrace their culture and their faith together? Because I feel like working cross-culturally, there's always some kind of shock or difficulty that pops its head up.
The first one is many countries they don't think art is very how can I say, because art is one of the expression of human. So we should enjoy, we can enjoy all kinds of art in our daily life. But some people think, okay, art is not mine. You know what I mean, right? The dance or the painting, they're for artists, not mine. That kind of thing. I think that's one of the challenges. The second one is that this kind of internalization, I know, internationalization. How can I say that?
International globalization.
Yeah, globalization. But I mean, what does it mean global? We need to think about that. So people think, oh, in this globalization, we need to do this something. But most of them from Western countries or some specific country. So I mean, as a Korean, I'm so proud of BTS, of course, of course. But I'm very careful. The people just people from all of the world just craving with one specific band or some specific genre.
It's actually so interesting.
Yeah. This is the one we should try. I don't think so, because every culture have their own artistic expression, and our emotions and our feelings are different. And even have you heard about color by culture?
Wait, tell us about that. I'm actually so interested in that.
Because each culture or each religion interpret the color differently.
Yeah.
So you can Google it, and then we can find the color by culture, and then you can see, the same red, but each culture has a different meaning.
Oh.
That's so cool.
Okay. So an example.
Yeah.
In the U.S., the color red is either associated with like passion, so like anger or love, or it cues hunger, which is why all the fast food chains that we have, their logos are made in red.
Yes.
So in Korea,
red and yellow, right?
Yeah, in Korea, what's the meaning behind red? Is it different?
We don't have a specific meaning of red but the Chinese people are craving. They love red.
Yeah.
I mean, red has a special meaning for them. In some country, red is nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's serious. And also, when you go to India, when you enter into the temple, Hindu temple, you will see orange flags everywhere, because the orange color is kind of sacred, a symbol of sacred. So it's different. So when you use colors, even colors can be different. It is interpreted different. So, many people think, music is a universal language. Art is a universal language. But you know what? I'm sorry for saying this, but it's not. Because I and my colleagues that art is universal phenomenon, because art is everywhere. Each culture have their own artistic expressions. But language means we can communicate. But sometimes we cannot communicate in the same way with our art. Then art is not a universal language.
I would definitely agree with that, just from my own experience with dance. Like, specifically with ballet. Everyone thinks ballet is the same everywhere, but the things that are valued in America with ballet have a lot to do with expression and have a lot to do with your facial features and your acting skills on the stage. Whereas, let's say in Japan, there's more of a mask over the face and it's more technique based. And so what is valued in Japan with like ballet, which is a very specific art form, is completely different in every country that I dance in or every language that I dance in. And so have you seen any of that in your own life, in your travels? And maybe what brings you joy in your art? What is your heart art, I guess?
My heart art is music and movies and the films. Because when I was young, I listened to all kinds of music, literally. And every Saturday, it's like a family time. So we all together have a TV series, especially in the old movies, the classic, so-called classic movies.
Yes.
So that was my favorites. But also, I love all kinds of music, all kinds of art, literally. And now I love photography. I love photography and videography. So I'm a visual artist. So I love all kind of art. I'm literally all kinds of art.
Yeah.
I love dancing.
That's so cool.
But my heart art is definitely music, and especially 70s, 80s Korean folk music.
Ooh. Do you have a favorite artist, like off the top of your head right now?
There are many. I cannot pick one.
Hard question. Yeah.
And jazz is my heart music as well. Yeah. What's your heart music?
My heart music, probably like 50s, 60s soul singers, so like Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra.
Wow.
People say I'm an old soul, but the funny thing is that my parents didn't even listen to that. That was just me. Like when
funny.
music
I know.
streaming became a thing, I would just shuffle and explore. And like you, I listened to pretty much everything. But I grew up doing a lot of singing, and so that technique, the soulful technique, is kind of what became important, and I could recognize, the creativity and the depth and value of it.
That's so cool.
What about you, Anna? What do you think is your heart music other than ballet?
Other than ballet, my heart music, honestly, I love jazz, and since we came to Japan, I've recently discovered more like old Japanese jazz.
No
Like
way.
Yumiko Sensei, our Japanese teacher, introduced us to this. I'm probably gonna say her name wrong, but Matsutoya Yumi. Yumi-san has the most beautiful jazz music, and that's kind of like my heart music right now because it's just calming and peaceful, and I love jazz. But
Yeah.
I know you love jazz too, right?
Yeah, I love jazz.
Why do you love jazz?
I think because of the freedom, I feel freedom whenever I listen to jazz, because some even for example classic music. When I learned piano, I should do this. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Follow the notes.
Yeah.
But jazz is not like that.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like I feel freedom in this music. Yeah.
But I know a lot of people. I like jazz, but I know a lot of people don't like it. Or, with any art, there's preference. Like you always have that person when you go to an art museum. They see the abstract art and they're like, I could have done that. What's so special? But then you have a person next to you and they're like in tears and like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And so I think God gave us that creative medium, like the common ground of every culture has their own art. Every culture has their fashion, their food, their singing, their music, but it's never the same. Like it is the same and based in the same, God gave us frequencies for music and pigments for art. But it's how we interpret and what becomes our art, what becomes important to us differs per culture, and I think that's so interesting how it's common but not common between cultures.
Yeah, that's true. So, and this concept is not for just Africa or Asia, because whenever when we had our songwriter workshop in France, we had a songwriter workshop in Bretagne region, and then there was a huge festival, Celtic music festival.
Yeah.
So we wanted to use that kind of music to show the gospel.
Wait, that's so cool.
I know. So we researched the culture in the area and history and culture, and then we got some important concept from that, and then the musicians made songs related to that, the Celtic music and that area, the music style, and then we had a concert. So because they are also locals, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so they have their own local artistic forms. So we used it. And then the concerts were really good, and then people are very familiar with the music, so they're even non-believers, they enjoy the music, the songs, and then they ask questions, what the lyric means. So yeah.
That's so cool. I think it's beautiful how you see beauty in so many different cultures and so many different people. And since we're in Korea, I would love to ask you, what's something beautiful that you see about Korean culture? And also, as the leader of Arts and Mission Korea, what is something that you see as a challenge? So what is something beautiful, and then what's something you see as a challenge in Korea?
Beauty. I love Korean traditional art forms, music, instruments, and you see the art or the palaces, the architecture is beautiful, and we have a very amazing, excellent, all the good things, the craft here. So I love Korean traditional art forms.
Yes.
We have such beauty, and I love our language, Korean. 한글, 한국어 좋습니다.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it. I'm so proud of my language. Yeah. So I think that's the beauty of our Korean culture. But also that's a challenge because Korean culture is very westernized. So
What do you mean by that?
because we are missing our the traditional art forms, the beauty of art forms. Fortunately, recently, music scene or other art scene has make a kind of fusion, traditional one, modern one. So we have a good artworks, but in general, many people they are not interested in Korean traditional arts, especially in church.
That's really interesting.
So there's a lot of reasons historically, you know. But so I'm as Korean and as a director of arts and mission, because I'm ethnodoxologist.
Right.
So for me, how can we use our Korean art forms, our Korean artistic expressions to worship God and share the gospel? So we are good. Actually, Korean Christians are very good because we make songs, praise songs, by ourselves. There are many that are good, but I think we are missing something. We are missing something, and I think that's what I want to do, and to make people understand what we are missing. Yeah, it doesn't need to be. When we, as a ethnodoxologist, I can say the local or our heart art doesn't need to be traditional. No, because because of the globalization and because of the different context, it doesn't need to be traditional. But we can think about and then we can see broadly. Not just modern is good, tradition is bad. We don't need to do that, right? Yeah. So that's I think one of the challenges, and then not just challenge, maybe hope we can do something more, right? Yeah.
There's beauty in variety. So like for me, I think there's a difference between cultural music and then like my heart music. My heart music being the 50s soul singer because that's relevant to how I grew up. But then culturally, I'm from Tennessee, so bluegrass music, like banjo, twang, that's my cultural, where I come from, but that doesn't have to necessarily be my heart music. So when both are important to me, but if I were to integrate my heart music into my worship music, that's going to be more the soulful singer, not necessarily the banjo and the twangy voice. So there's definitely an important difference that you highlighted there, that both Korean traditional folk music and your heart music are important, and you don't need to just choose one. You can have both. You can have all the variety because God gave us all the variety.
Sure. Yeah.
I also think it's really cool how you talked about like traditional Korean art and how sometimes it's not as valued, because I think we've been able to see some of that in viewing like some palaces while we're here and some museums and even just some art that people were making on the street, like traditional calligraphy. What do you call that?
서예.
Saye. It's so beautiful, and with the maker's mark, the red stamp. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. We call it injang, and then it's like a signature.
It's so cool, and I feel like not many people value that anymore. But it's so beautiful to see some people like still using these art forms.
Yeah,
and
we have a great Korean calligraphers here, right? And then there are some, it's kind of club, or groups.
Yeah.
Who love to learn and how to do it.
Right. That's so cool. Well, I hate that we're sort of running out of time because this is so fun to talk to you. But I have just two more questions before we have to end. But my first question is, what is a piece of advice that you would give to anyone who's listening? And I would love for you to tell us in Korean so that any Korean listeners can hear your advice. And then in English.
Yeah. Korean listeners?
Yes.
So can I speak Korean?
Yes. Please. So a piece of advice. And then could you share in English a Bible verse or song or hymn that you would like to share with us that speaks to your heart? And while you think about that, just as a thank you to our listeners, thank you so much for listening. We're just having fun over here and letting you in on some of the cool things that God is doing around the world.
Absolutely. It's been so much fun to meet people cross-culturally. So you're definitely someone near and dear to our hearts now, and God is definitely using you in some amazing and very cool ways.
Yes.
Thank you.
네, 이 혹시 팟캐스트를 듣는 한국 분이 계시다면 이 내용을 좀 들으시면서 새로운 내용이네. 하지만 좀 더 알고 싶다 하시는 분들은 Arts in Mission Korea를 찾아서 검색하시면 되고요. 무엇보다 우리의 삶 가운데 아름다우신 하나님을 아름답게 예배하는 예술에 대해서 우리가 좀 더 기독교인으로서 더 관심을 가졌으면 좋겠습니다.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. And my favorite verses is one of the other life verses. Isaiah 58 verses 12. So that verses make me commit myself to Arts in Mission, because as an artist, I think we should restore this world. And then what is a good way? That is Arts in Mission. So actually that's one of my mission commitment Bible verses. But not just art, but as a Christian, we need to repair, restore, rebuild this fallen world. And that's why we need Jesus. And then he will complete this world, but before his coming, as a Christian, we can do something. And what is that? We can see, as a Christian, we can see as a ballerina or photographer and as a office worker, we can see how can I repair, how can I restore the culture beautifully. Yeah. So that's my life verses. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. It's been a joy to talk to you today.
I feel like I learned so much.
Thank you for inviting me and having me here.
Yay. Thank you so much. And thank you again to our listeners. Also, how do we say goodbye in Korean?
It depends. 안녕히 가세요.
안녕히 가세요.
예, 안녕히 가세요. 혹은 안녕히 계세요. 안녕히 계세요 is, I think 안녕히 계세요 is better. Yeah, at this moment.
안녕히 계세요. It's so difficult to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
감사합니다.
Thank you.